Welcome back all to another episode on Gelvin Valley. Beautiful map created for Farming Simulator 15 by Wild Wes. We're in the process, of course, you can see, of rolling our field down, trying to take care of any rocks that we still have here on the surface, and getting the field all ready to be planted. Got some of these pesky weeds up here that, yeah, my gears are grinding. Having just studied a little bit some of the other foliage layers that are in a map, I'm tempted to try to do something with them, in game that is. The reason you don't see the equipment taking out those particular weeds and whatnot against the edge of the field is they are not in the crop foliage sub-layers, if you will. So the mods in the equipment for the game are only designed to deal with the crops. So now Wes did set up the map, as I understand, to be compatible with what was called what was the name of the soil mod? That's what it was. And with the soil mod, you have a whole lot more to do. You have additional fertilization, you gotta watch moisture levels, and your crop can be more impacted. And it comes with its own type of weeds. However, the weeds don't look like, the ones you're seeing kind of on the edge here. They're designed and they're part of the foliage sublayer as if they were another crop. So of course, if you run the cultivator or plow over them, they're going to disappear. Well, the others are decorative, and I have a feeling every time Wes watches this, and anybody from Europe or the UK, they're probably wondering why I go so close to the edge of the field. And part of it is I'm just a poor farmer in here, so where's my edge? So I'm trying to use all the space that I have, but I probably am supposed to leave more of a grass edge to the fields, in which case all these weeds would potentially be growing there, and wouldn't need to be, it doesn't look funny, to run the plow or cultivator over them and not have them go out. But there may be a way to take care of them if I do just a wee bit more coating. I bet I could figure out a way to take out that particular layer of foliage. Just would have to do, I think, just a fuzz of some Lua coating, and that would be that. So, why don't I just strike out across the wild blue yonder here, and I'll just utilize GPS as we... Oh, you know what? I'm going to hit that teeny tiny rock and take it out. Clink. Didn't even hear it. Anyway, we are rolling, getting ready to plant, and we're getting along in the evening. It is almost 7 p.m. in the map, and light is obviously disappearing. Shoot, I just left an area. Oh, we'll see if we can get this to work. I probably should be going across the field instead of up and down, because it's going to drive a little slower going uphill, so I'm not sure why I chose to do this. It sure went fast going down the hill though now, didn't it? Anyway, I am really hoping this all pays off, because I have lots of acres now, more fields, and hopefully I can start making some decent money. I'm just looking over here at field number 12, field number 21, 23. These are the new fields I took on, and I'm just looking to make sure all the rocks have been taken out. and I think they have been, so that is a good sign. So on the last episode, which I'd like to continue today, the discussion, I asked the question as to how you determine what kind of a map that you're going to spend time on. And part of the premise initially, or part of it's probably going to depend on your playing style. Some of us, we sink down roots and we're on a map for a long period of time. And others of us are just there for a short period of time, and so may have, as a result, different criteria that's important to us in terms of map selection. And so I talked about size of the map, size matters as it were, and then got started talking about the PDA map, which is this thing here. It's kind of a top-down look. And I've never understood, when someone posts a map online, I've never understood the guys that do it without putting also the PDA map there. Because I don't think I'm alone in wanting to kind of see the basic layout of the map to see if it's something I'm interested in. They may have all sorts of pictures about from within the map as to, what's going on in it. But if they don't show a PDA, I pretty much don't even look further at the map in terms of playing it. And maybe the map author, what do they care? But there are so many to pick from that if they don't take time to show the PDA, the top-down map, I just go to the next one personally. So it's always helpful to kind of see what that is. And like I was explaining in the last one, I love the maps that don't have a lot of square corners in them. As a general rule, although some maps I've played, they do have some square corners, like the Peace River map that I played. That's set up in Canada. It does have a number of fields in there that aren't square cornered. So that's part of what I appreciate about it. But anytime you take a big old river, kind of like that map does, and you put it through the middle, kind of with a meandering course, it forces the fields, at least along the river, to not have just a square or rectangle shape. So like you look here at Wes's map, the road network, the way the hills are set up, there's several streams here on the map. There isn't a single square corner anywhere, and I love it. But part of it too, when you have a lot of square corners, you can pretty much fill up the whole map, with just fields. Well, I suppose that's interesting on the one level if you're going to just do farm, but, looking out across the valley here, there is just so much more to see that isn't just farm related, whether it's a forestry bit or even has way up in the corner. I can't remember if we went to see it one time. I know one YouTuber I saw spent some time up there. There's a go-kart track of all things. Just those extra details that make a map kind of fun, to where it isn't just wall-to-wall fields. There's actually other things in there to see that make the map special. But to me, an interesting-looking PDA map is critical to me in terms of helping me decide if I'm going to play a particular map or let it go. Too many square-shaped fields, and I generally will give it a pass. Although most maps I've ever always just given a pass just for sheer lack of time. There just aren't enough hours, in the day to play them all, much as any of us may wish to. Another thing that is of interest to me is if the map is based kind of on a real life area. And so, probably one of my favorite maps of all time is the Lone Oak map created by Bullet Bill. And The reason I like it is because it's home to me. I mean, not literally my home. It's my grandpa, who my father grew up there, and I worked many summers for my grandfather and uncles on the farm, and so uh, just being based on a real life area just has a lot of character to me. And let me tell you, driving through the area anymore is just kind of a surreal experience. You feel like you're on the map in Farming Simulator, just kind of in a real life scale, and then you start to wonder why you can't see things in real life that are there in the Farming Sim app. So it's just kind of funny the effect that has. But others, and I've known there's a number of Farm Sim app authors who made it on an area that maybe it was the farm they grew up on, or, similar to kind of how I was, a farm they worked on, or that kind of thing. Or like in Wes's case, he built it, I don't think not on a specific location, at least not as I understand it. It's, I think his notes kind of indicate it's an Irish, Scottish, and British type map, if there is such a thing. So part of it I think is based on Northern Ireland, part of it in Scotland, and part of it, I think there was a region in Britain or somewhere in the UK. So, and when you look at this and you see the shape of the hills and everything, there is so much thought put into it. You look at it and you ask yourself, is it plausible that this could be a real place? And I think this is one of those areas, where he's taken pains to put it together, put details in here, that would make a person, suspend reality or whatever and say, I'm in a real place. Even if it still is fictional, it has some basis in reality the way it's, put together. So I think I tend to like maps, that are based on a real life area. And there's a small series I'm going to come out with. I don't know where it will be in conjunction with this particular video, Gelvin Valley being released. But as I mentioned last time, I was looking for a new map on Farm Sim 11 to play, as the one I'm on currently, I think I'm just about done with. That's the Feldy map. Well, one of those maps that I was looking into to give it a try is called Salem, South Dakota. He had, let's see, the mapper there, Jamie Federal, I believe his name is. Hopefully I'm not butchering his name. This, I believe, was based on a farm he either grew up on or his parents. I don't recall exactly. So he mapped the area. I think he may have first done it in Sim Tractor. Oh boy, Sim Tractor is old. It kind of, in many ways, was the predecessor of Farming Simulator. As soon as Farming Simulator came out, it pretty much was bye-bye to Sim Tractor. But I almost think he may have done it in Sim Tractor first, then he brought it to Farming Simulator 11. And it was a 4X map, by the way. And he expanded it to a 16X map, I think, once, where's the edge here? Oh, it's over here. Once you get into Farming Sim 13. He expanded it to 16X, which I believe was the largest map done that had been released, in Farm Sim 13 era. There was more than would come in Farm Sim 15 and later. There were the large maps. I think it went also to Farm Sim 15. He might have changed the name of the map to Dakota, perhaps. Not 100% sure. But anyways, for Farm Sim 11, there is a 4X map called Salem, South Dakota. And it's based on a real-life area, and I gave it a try. So I'll have a few episodes, series kind of coming out on that at some point, as soon as I get all the videos processed. And interestingly, as part of doing the work on that, because it was based on a real life area, I asked myself, can I find this farm on a map? And I think I could. The thing of it is he took some artistic license as he was putting it together. You know, he didn't just take a 4 kilometer by 4 kilometer area or PDA map of the particular area. No, he took, I think it was a mile by mile block of where the farm was. There was a couple areas that were dead on, and then he mixed and mingled some other things, including a lake, a fairly good sized lake that's in the area. He put that on the map, kind of reoriented where it was. So, in other words, it was similar to, based on a particular area. Some of it was exactly like the area. And then I think he modeled some buildings, you know, for where his grandparents were and whatnot. Very cool. Particularly that he did in Farm Sim 11. And Farm Sim 11 was quite a bit more rustic, you know, than some of the versions that would come after, in terms of tools available to modders and the game engine underlying the map or the game itself. So, but it was really cool to see. So I do have a small series on that. The only thing of it is you know, I go back to having an interesting PDA map. You know, so I would still say it qualifies as that. The thing of it is it had probably a few more square corners, given where it is. I mean, Salem, South Dakota is kind of in the Midwest. But still, I'd say he did an awesome job at it, although it had some other issues in there, which I'll get to here in a moment. So anything that has the appearance of being real life or based on real life definitely catches my eye, you know, in terms of picking an app. Another criteria is, are the colors vibrant and the models used in the map, are they good? Well, we're now 200 some episodes into Gelvin Valley, and the I know I drool on this map practically. Yes, I mean, this is definitely one where the colors work together. It's vibrant. There's just lots of detail. It's you know, I didn't put it in my notes here, but to scale. You know, one of the problems, for example, I saw on the Salem, South Dakota map is it's definitely, a lot of the buildings are out of scale. They're just too small, and maybe with enough time you could fix them kind of in Giant's editor, make them bigger where they need to be bigger, smaller where they should be smaller. But you know, when you're in a tractor and you drive next to what should be a massive barn, and the barn feels small relative to the tractor, well, and it just something, you know, it's just a little bit off. Oh, it's gratifying to hear all those rocks disappear. You know what? I think we had them all too. That might have been the last two in this particular field, so that'll be good. So in Wild West's, from everything I've seen in here, things are scaled great, and it's and the colors are just awesome. And so, you know, sometimes it's the selection of, you know, I know I've mentioned before, like in here, he did something with the color of the trees, or so it appears. You know, if you hear this, did you edit the fir or pine trees, you know, all these trees up here, did you edit the color of them? Because I know they're the same tree used in the base game, or I eventually figured that out. But the color, it's just a richer green, and I think that's part of the appeal to this particular map. It's a deeper, richer green. And anyway, I mean, it's just some maps, when you open them, they just feel flat and lifeless almost, you know, with whatever they have in there. Whereas this one here and other maps, you know, that I like, you just open them, it's like, this is a good place to be, and it just makes you want to, you know, spend time in there. At least it does to me. And also the models, you know, that is one comment I'd have, with Salem, South Dakota ones that I looked at. Again, I'm not trying to criticize the map author, everything. Sometimes, we do the best we can with whatever we're able to do. And, rarely does one person have all the skills they need to do everything. And especially if you're making a map and you've got all these various parts and pieces to fit in there, particularly if it's on a real life area, and so you want the buildings to somewhat resemble reality, and you throw something into Blender maybe, and yeah, it's just on the Salem, South Dakota map, a lot of the models used were pretty rudimentary, lacking detail, and they were more kind of blocky in shape. Yeah, that's maybe enough said. So when a map has detailed models in it, such as a rock wall we're going through right now, where you can see the individual rocks in it, I mean, that's pretty cool. That's definitely cool. And it's neat to play on a map that has that kind of ambiance. And just details. See, we just went over another cattle grade. Obviously, cattle, right, in this case, sheep. The intent is that maybe there would be animals wandering through this area, coming up into here to pasture or whatever. Not that you ever see them do that, but that's obviously, the intent. All right, let me take this over here. I can't remember if I rolled these fields. I don't think I did. I got a whopping 4 minutes left, so probably by the time I get it into it over here, it's gonna tell me that I've got another hour coming or whatever, and I won't even need it for an hour. So really, the time I set it up here was just about bang on for the fields that I did. I think I'll sneak up here and give these a roll while I'm at it. I don't think I can do it. These here, I'm just gonna be planting grass. Whoops, I guess I undid it. I did it. What's going on? Oh, now I see what's going. Accidentally hit the O key, so I have more field taken out than I wanted. See here, he's going to behave like a pendulum and probably isn't going to get his butt up the... Yeah, having trouble with that. Well, the good news is I can pretty much bring the planter in here and plant right over the top of this. So, regardless of whether it was rolled or not. So, not going to redo the grass on the top bit. How did it turn off? Almost looks like my roller was still carving out new field area. Oh, for sure. I'll find it out in the next field. I don't know that it totally matters here because it's going to be taken out and it's not going to be a arable field, really. Lift it up. Now field detection should be... Now why are... Well, that's lying. That little O, it says field detection is... Yeah. For some reason I thought I was off when I was on. It's just taking out the grass, which is fine. Anyway, probably can't tell what I'm hemming and hawing about. Just looking at the input behind a description. Anyway, I'll be in here replanting this down to 1 stinking minute. Oh, come on. I got the differential lock on. Yeah, kind of climbing up the... I'll have to be careful with the cedar to get up and over that hump. Anyway, back to the map stuff. I was in the middle of colors and models, so what was the next thing on my list? Does it feel realistic or make one able to suspend reality? Well, kind of already covered that particular item. You know, it's, you know, just in asking the question, does the map feel plausible in terms of being a real-life area or space? And of course we know we're still in a game. It isn't going to perfectly duplicate real life or whatever, but is it plausible? You know, does it seem like it could be real? And maybe one of the things that does it for me is the hills. You know, although some areas, of course, of the planet are very flat. Doggone it, in some ways it's too bad. Maybe if I almost have half a notion to get rid of this roller. I'm on 0 minutes. Oh, it started again. I got it for another hour. Only I don't need it for an hour. Yeah, I just didn't get it done quick enough. But that's okay. I think we'll be okay. Maybe since I haven't now, I just as well go back to the corner and do that little tiny bit that I missed. If I can get the roller over it, that is. There we go. Look at that. Got her rolled. Alright. I believe that means we have the whole place rolled now, so let me see if we can tiptoe out of here. Get back down through these gates. It's very tight in here. I think Wes has commented he wasn't anticipating that anybody would use those up there as hay fields, so... But I do, because my sheep are hungry. Okay, next criteria. Does it have errors? And I got the console turned on so you can tell if there's errors coming, but you know, I keep going back, and again, I'm not intending to bash the Salem, South Dakota map, but if you look it up on ModHoster, you will see many complaints about its errors. Oh, hey, look at this. Look at the fruit. Okay, folks, we gotta stop here. Sorry, car, buy some fruit. I gotta come here, and while I'm driving by, go put in a few more apples. Look at the ad. Used them up, so that tells me I probably need to, you know what? Let me just come over here and see. Okay, 224, 56%. Okay, so they're not quite ready for to be picked again, but they're getting close. Okay, let me see. Let's squeeze up by here. Oop. Come on, give me the hitch. There we go. Sorry, don't mean to scratch the tin. There you go, car. Shame on you. You should have purchased some fruit. Anyway, errors. So, probably it's virtually impossible to drum out every single error. You know, anybody that's ever studied their log for the game knows that's where a lot of the errors will pop up. And I say a lot of them, not necessarily all of them will show up there. A lot of those errors they're in the Lua code, that if the Lua code doesn't find something that it needs, it will pop an error, or if it shows up wrong. And it can give you clues as to, why something's off, but not always. There can be certain kinds of errors that are basically game breaking. The ones where there's recurring errors that pop in the log. Lua errors are famous for doing that, where the error just pops over and over and over and over faster than you can watch it go in there. And those are frustrating. They fill up the log, and eventually it can crash the game, depending on your system. And back in the day when I played Farming Sim 11 a lot, before I knew anything about modding or how to, address those things or what have you. Let me get rid of this, return vehicle. Oh, and I gotta get another one. Oh my word. We're already at the end of the episode. Well, let me see if I can get a sewing machine. Is this a small one? Probably. Let's see, I'm gonna put in, I don't remember which one I used last time. It probably was this. I probably can rent that one. Let me get it for, I don't know, a couple hours, 4 hours to plant all that. I don't know how long it's going to take. Anyway, we'll zip around here and go pick it up. Probably should lease another tractor again, because this one's going to struggle on the hills, but it'll have to be what it'll have to be. Well, and we'll look at the ad. It's already on canola. Tell you what, I'll get this out to the fields that we just purchased, and we will continue the next episode from there, start the planting work, and get all these fields ready to go to produce. But for now, we are out of time, so thank you for coming along to watch. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.